Hey everyone, hope you're having a good Tuesday. Well, I was just getting done with the 6 o'clock news. Had my weather intern and Blaze in here. Blaze left for the day, but I got a notification saying that an 8.0 earthquake happened. Now that perked my interest because 8.0 is considered a great earthquake. Let me tell you something, they're extremely rare, they don't happen very often. And then just about 20 minutes later, they upgraded this to an 8.7. Now, an 8.7, if you're wondering, is tied with the eighth largest earthquake in the history of the world. So we're talking about top 10 strongest ever. This surpasses the New Madrid seismic zone earthquakes, 1811 and 1812. And this is a big one, folks. This is bad news. First of all, there's already saying that now they've got a red pager, meaning that fatalities as well as the amount of destruction that's going to occur. We'll take a look at that. Obviously, we already continued this. A little rusty on the Facebook lives, but wanted to provide this update. We're going to go through some stuff. I am not a seismologist by any means, but I have studied a lot about earthquakes and I have looked at a lot of stuff with earthquakes. And so if there's some misinformation, don't be mad. I'm trying to provide my best, but we'll go through the Tsunami Warning Center and we'll look at all that stuff. But let's first of all start off with, according to the USGS, there's a tsunami warning for Hawaii. It is no doubt a tsunami warning, and it's something that we're going to have to watch for sure. I'm going to slide this camera over just a little bit. There we go. And so we're going to take a look at that. And this is big news, folks. This is national news. Probably not a lot talking about it, but this is big time. So let's go ahead and I'll show you here. I share this screen. We're just going to share this whole window. So first of all, this is the USGS showing the largest earthquakes ever recorded. And you'll notice that an 8.7 was back in 1965. This is the Rat Islands, Aleutian Islands. The earthquake generated a tsunami that was 35 feet high. Now, keep in mind, this is right near the epicenter. And you're going to see right here that number 8.7, 1965. So we have tied with the eighth largest earthquake ever. So let's take a look here where this earthquake was. So this is the USGS map. First of all, you're going to see a ripple effect too. Sometimes when the tectonic plates get a little shifted, you got essentially, earthquakes that are happening, and then you got ruptures in the fault or the Pacific Rim in other locations, including there's been some earthquakes off the coast of California. 4.5 is not great, but that's something that happened pretty recently. But we're going back to this one, and look at all the aftershocks too. But this is an 8.7. The Did You Feel It, by the way, was located at a 10 or 9, which is extremely heavy. I've seen some Twitter videos that have come out, and let me tell you something, they're substantial. If we look at the Did You Feel It responses, you'll see one of them here that shows pretty strong. So we go back to the interactive map. Here's a look at that earthquake. We zoom out, and you'll notice that this is in the Pacific. So you might think all the earthquakes just here. Well, if we remember from the 2004 Boxing Day earthquake that happened, which was the Sumatra fault that ruptured in the Indian Ocean, they didn't have the warning system that the Pacific tsunami warning system has. So here's Hawaii, California, Aleutian Islands, Gulf of Alaska, California. This tsunami is going to be spreading out most likely in all directions. So we're going to look at that, and let's go to the information here. So first of all, 8.7. It was 126 kilometers east-southeast of Petropavlovsk. I don't know how to pronounce that. And that's in Russia. And there was a report, red pager. Let me tell you something. If you see this, this is no good. This means trouble. So if you click on the red pager, it shows the estimated economic losses will be in the 1 billion to 10 billion, because you can see this is in the 1,000 millions, which would be a billion. So you're looking at least $1 billion loss. The estimated fatalities as of now, they have in the yellow because it was kind of off the shore, but that could be increased. The population of Petropavlovsk Kamchatsky is 187,000. So there's the earthquake. We'll take a look at some stuff here, but let's go back and look at the tsunami. So this is the Tsunami Warning Center. I'll tell you something. The Tsunami Warning Center, their website is not the best, but their information they provide is good. But it is kind of a little tricky to work through this. Let me make sure that you're seeing exactly what I'm seeing. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring this up full. Can't see comments right now because I've got this on another screen. But once we get another view here from another monitor, which is we're still upgrading the weather lab, you'll be able to see that. But let's go back here to the Tsunami Warning Center. And so there is a tsunami warning that's now for Hawaii. So that was just issued. We'll zoom in here. We'll take a look on the north end of the islands. And if we click on that, you can't really get the information, but we zoom to, we'll bounce into Hawaii. And then we go down here and you can see the latest advisory. So here it is. Shows tsunami warning was issued. Tsunami has been generated. And how high are they saying the tsunami will be? So it's supposed to arrive, the first tsunami wave, because tsunamis come in all in different times. Like you have one wave, and then the second wave could be even stronger. You're going to get the sea that basically recesses out to land. So you get the sea that kind of the bottom of the seabed floor. Can't remember for some reason the exact name of it, but where you have the sea that retracts from the coast, and you see like the seabed. That's the tsunami wave that's coming. So here's what it says right here: a tsunami is a series of long ocean waves. Each individual wave can last 5 to 15 minutes. And you don't see many tsunami warnings for Hawaii, but it was effective at 2:43 Hawaii Standard Time. So they are 5 hours behind us, I believe. If we look at the current time in Hawaii, we'll check it out. In the meantime, while I'm doing that, I'm going to bring back up the camera here. We're going to look at some stuff here. I don't like that tsunami warning website, but we're going to continue to show you how this earthquake is actually being felt right here in Northwest Arkansas. Even though you aren't, the sensors are, as a matter of fact. So let's see what the time right now is in Hawaii. World clock, Honolulu, 2:58. So I was right. 5 hours behind is Hawaii Standard Time. And so if we look at this, 7:17 Hawaii Standard Time on Tuesday is the estimated time of the first arrival wave. So that is to show you in about 5 hours, it'll travel across the Pacific Ocean almost as fast as a jet plane, about 500 miles per hour. Pretty substantial. So let's go back to the maps. And this is they have detected a tsunami, just to let you know. More aftershocks are popping off left and right, so you can see them right there. Red colors, by the way, indicates earthquakes that happened within the last hour. This is past an hour if it's orange. And then if we look at here, the depth of that 18.2 kilometers. So that's at the bottom of the seafloor. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is a thrust fault or a subduction zone where you have plates that are going underneath each other, which is what creates that lift. So essentially, yeah, it's certain. It's certain because they've detected it. So if we go back to this tsunami warning center and we zoom back out, and we'll click on this, and this will load up the full thing. So tsunami advisory now for Guam. Let's see, have they dropped it? Let's go back to tsunami.gov. They really do need to work on this site. Also, the Aleutian Islands has a tsunami warning as well. And it says zoom to. You click on that, and then you try to get the link, and you can't. You got to come down here. And then here's the tsunami. See, what was interesting is that there's some updates here for this. So this was just a few minutes ago. at 5:19 Pacific Daylight Time, which is 7:19, that a tsunami warning is in effect, Aleutian Islands. And this is an older bulletin. So let me close out of that. Let me get this one right here. This is where they said tsunami warning. So they upgraded this from an 8.0 to an 8.7, which is pretty sizable. Now, here's what's cool about this. We can look at the Arkansas Seismic Network. And remember, this is really, really sensitive instrumentation. But look at this, as you'll see here. This is basically what we call a helicorder or the seismograph. And you can clearly see when this earthquake energy hit. I mean, this is a strong enough earthquake to rattle the entire globe. And it's felt all across the world. Look at that as the moment magnitude, it maxes out. Now, that looks pretty significant, right? But if you go to the strong motion, you'll see it's a whole lot less. But this is essentially when it first hit right here. And now that sensor is kind of waving back and forth. We can't feel it here because it's not strong enough, but sensors can. So you can literally see that on that seismograph. Here's how to read these charts. It's a little bit difficult, but you can see Central Daylight Time. So this is 6 right here, and then this is 7. So you take, minus 12 Central Daylight Time, 1800 hours. Minus 12 will give you 6. So here's 6 o'clock. That goes to 6:15. And then here's 6:15 to 6:30. And then you've got 6:30 to 6:35, 6:36. So approximately 6:36, the energy was felt right here. A little after 6:36, about 6:37. Now, if we go back to the graphics, we'll take a look at the time of this earthquake. 6:24 is when the rupture happened. Look at all of the aftershocks. My goodness. Well, it makes sense because it was the 8th largest earthquake ever in recorded history. Almost getting up to the Sumatra 9.2 that happened. I mean, it's unbelievable. 8.7, and there's been some Twitter videos that show the shaking, and it's pretty substantial. You can definitely see it. No, we won't be able to feel it, but the seismic centers can. And so that's what I kind of wanted to show you, is that those seismic centers definitely felt it. So 8.7 is large. That is a very large earthquake. So how do they prepare in Hawaii for this? Just getting to high land? That's right. That's what you want to do. You want to get to high land. You want to get away from the sea. There's going to be a lot of spectators. Hopefully they learned their thing with the 2004 tsunami that hit in the Indian Ocean, killed over 200,000 people. Yeah. You won't be able to feel it, like I said, but the seismic centers have. So some really wild things happening tonight, and with all those aftershocks too. The one aftershock was a 6.9, and that's a pretty strong earthquake in itself. And so we'll come back to this 8.7, and we'll get some more information about it. And so, okay, so here's what they're saying now. There's the tectonic summary. I was waiting for this. Let's see if you can see this. Okay, here's the tectonic summary. So 8.7, after they upgraded it, occurred as a result of a shallow reverse faulting. At the location of this earthquake, the Pacific plate is moving west-northwest with respect to the North American plate at about 77 millimeters per year. Note the North American plate extends westward beyond the North American continent. This earthquake's location and sense of motion is consisting with faulting on the subduction zone plate. So if it's a subduction zone, that means a tsunami is definitely happening. If you want to know why a tsunami happens, I think I've got a graphic for you. Whoops, let me bring that back up here. And so this includes the foreshock of the 7.4 on July 20th. which would now be considered a foreshock of the 8.7. July 29th, epicenter is located, which resulted in a destructive Pacific-wide tsunami. Wow. So there you go. July 29th, 2025, epicenter is located only 45 kilometers southeast of the 1952 9.0 earthquake. And that's a 9.0 is 0.3 magnitude, but keep in mind it's a 10 times each 0.1 magnitude is a 10 times more energy released because it's a non-linear, it's an exponential increase. Well, there you go though. That shows you why this is pretty nasty. Did you feel it? Look at the shake map as a 9 and the pager red. That's not good. Anytime you see red pager, it's pretty rough. That's basically for emergency personnel and stuff. So let's go back to here. Let's go see what we got. Do we still have the warning for this for tsunami? Let's see. New updated information. This website is not my favorite. Okay, Hawaii. This is the newest one, so let's see what it shows. You click on it and you go warning. State of issue Hawaii. Yeah, this website needs some work. We'll come back down here to Hawaii. We'll click on that. Zoom to get to the bulletin. You don't get to look at this site very often because tsunamis are kind of rare, to be honest with you. But you can see them issuing all the different zones essentially. So where the zones are. I love this. View by clicking on the breakpoint marker. Okay, I've done that. And then it just takes you back to the original one. Now, this is what I was going to show you, the DART systems. So this is what did not happen in the 2004 tsunami. These are measuring the water level. And so if we go here and you click for the DART data, and this will show you that sea rise right here and the sea fall. So you know right here that something was brewing. 15 seconds, 17:30, 0Z. So 0Z 7 o'clock. And I don't know exactly how to. Yeah, so those are different things. Not the easiest to read, that's for sure. We'll go back to this. All right, so here is 243. It's the same thing. It's the same bulletin. But tsunami has been generated. So they've already determined that it is a tsunami. The trough of tsunami wave. 7:17. So 7:17 would be 12:17 our time because we're 5 hours ahead. So in about 4 hours. It'll be interesting to watch on the news. So okay, let's look at some. So San Francisco apparently hasn't been warned, but we'll see what happens because I think the West Coast is under a tsunami advisory. Yeah, they don't have an estimated wave height. I'm looking here. They said 1 to 3, but if you could find it on. So I think they're saying right here 1 to 3 meters for Japan, over 3 meters for Russia, which is 9 feet. Pretty substantial. There's the warning. Water level stations. Let's see. Josh said this graphics looks like it's from the 90s. Aleutian Islands also will probably have, let's see here, for a tide plot. Yeah, I've never seen this either. But anyways, I do have a graphic, I think, on how a tsunami is created. Let me see if I've got that. Maybe not. Nope, I don't have a graphic. I thought I did, but I guess not. Man. Alaska, the Aleutian Islands has, yeah, 3 to 4 meters. Alaska does not have a tsunami warning. They have a tsunami watch. There's an advisory for the inner Aleutian Islands, and the outer ones have a tsunami warning. Now, if it hits some of those other dark displays, then they're going to know what's happening. There's the tide gauges. Let's see what happened really close to the earthquake here. Let's zoom in. Man, this website, brutal. Might need to upgrade this. What's up, Dalton?
If I give you like extra time, you want to talk about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, okay, zoom to, and then it doesn't tell you anything. Trash. I don't like this. Do not like this website. Love the information they provide, but this website is not the best. So if we go here, but what was wild is I was watching it, and I'm going to bring this back up here. I was watching this on this website, okay, and I'm going to show you right down here. I'm noticing it was 8, and I was like 8, 8, 8, and all of a sudden I saw it go to 8.7, and I was like, whoa, 8.7? I was like, that's a major earthquake. I mean, 8 is still strong, but 8.7 is crazy strong. 8th strongest ever in the world's history. And I was like, but I never saw it updating on anything. And I was like, well, I guess they've got it. They upgraded it to an 8.7. And then finally it started popping off on other stuff. So let's see here. Okay. National authorities alert for each county. Hazardous tsunami waves are forecasted on some coasts. This is everything right here. So 0.3 to 1 meters, so that's 3 feet. Tsunami waves are to be less for Australia, China. So Northwest Hawaii, Philippines, Indonesia. See, this is great information. Mexico, New Zealand, like look at all this stuff. All the way down to Chile. Wow. But anyways, yeah. So I just wanted to provide a little update on that. That's pretty crazy, man. Yeah, so Jason, there will be in Russia. I'm gonna have to agree with that, Caitlin. In Russia, there have been, in fact, they went to a red pager, which is not good. That means you have over $1 billion in damage. So I will show you that here, Jason. If we look at this and bring up this full screen. So this is the earthquake summary. And when we go here, the interactive map, you can see this area really got shook up pretty bad. There's some pretty substantial videos. They have a red pager, estimated economic losses. Past events with this level have required a national or international level response. So we're talking, yeah, as you can see, 1 billion to 10 billion in losses, really, and it could be on the higher end, but I don't think it's going to be that. They don't have as many fatalities as of now, probably because it was off the coast. But you can see some of the people that were impacted, and that city, which is closest, 187,000 people, and there was some pretty strong shaking. In fact, they had violent on there. One person reported violent shaking. And there's a lot of other earthquakes too that are happening as well with aftershocks. We look at the shake map here. Now, you might not see as much shaking because it was a fairly deep earthquake. It's at the bottom of the ocean. So, the epicenter, as you can see, was off the coast. But nevertheless, that's still, the tsunami could be really bad. So yeah, there you go. Midway Island, threat international, and there's a tsunami warning. So it's a tsunami watch for the west coast of the United States. Let's see if this has been updated. They change it. Looks like it's now it's a tsunami advisory. Yeah, I don't know. Now it looks like it's changed. There's a tsunami threat. I don't know. It's kind of tough to manipulate that site, and you get different banners popping up. But in case you're just joining on, an 8.7 earthquake has happened southeast of Russia's peninsula right here. There you can see it. Petropavlovsk, Kamchatsky. I don't know how to pronounce that. I won't even try. And that's in a subduction zone, as they were mentioning. And the Pacific Rim, if you will, it allowed some other earthquakes to happen not too long ago. If we look at red pager on that, so pretty nasty earthquake, being what we call a great earthquake. Not many of those. 8th strongest ever recorded. So the one in 2004, if you'll notice, was a 9.1. This one was a very similar 9.0. World's first recorded magnitude 9 earthquake triggered a massive tsunami that struck Hawaii, causing over $1 million in damages. So tsunami's got a tsunami warning in Hawaii. It's coming there, and it'll be there about midnight. So if you know anybody that's in Hawaii, they need to get to higher ground, especially if they're on the coast. Man, that's crazy. Pretty typical for the Ring of Fire. Well, earthquakes, yes. But a 8.7, that's pretty substantial. So I'm trying to read the ocean levels changing, and it's tough to figure it out, honestly. It's not something I regularly look at. I look at, when there's hurricanes and stuff, but man, you don't get many tsunamis to look at with the data. So we can look here. Let's look at some DART stations. We'll take off the water level stations. Let's see. Notice how they have that tsunami. So remember, the water rise is not very great. Come on. So click on this, and then we'll click on the DART info. And so this is over the day. Refresh page every 10 minutes. So here you can see the height. 1920, 1920. To be honest with you, I'd love to learn how to use this. Because that shows you the height, but what I know you're looking for a drop and a rise, but this is over like 4 or 5 days, so you can barely see. Maybe this is it right here around 0Z. You can see that happening, but you can't zoom in on that. Yeah. I don't know. I love to learn how they look at that stuff because I don't get it. Well, that maybe that shows right there rapid rise and fall. But here's what essentially happens. In case you're wondering how a tsunami occurs. By the way, I was showing you this. You're not missing much, but this is really hard to see over time. So this is what's happening, all right, with the tsunami. This is how it goes. So you have the ocean floor that's down here. Imagine this whole screen is the ocean. And then what happens is you get two plates that are coming together and one is going underneath the other, okay? So if one goes underneath the other, they're sliding and then eventually they'll kind of get stuck. And then when they get stuck, it goes like that and releases. And when it releases, what that does is that creates essentially the water rise to happen because the land is getting pushed upwards at the bottom of the ocean. Then, since you have all that water coming up, it comes back down and that starts spreading out. And as that water spreads out, you get a rise and a fall of the ocean. And then as those waves are out in the open ocean, they travel at over 500 miles per hour. But then they start getting slowed down when they get to the shore and they get a lot bigger. The reason that they get bigger is because if you can think about it, think about 5 miles of water deep that you're compressing into a very small area. So unlike a surface wave that happens just on the surface, from the wind and from different currents and stuff like that. This is the whole ocean that's water's been displaced that spreads out in all directions and that eventually leads to the giant tsunami. I know, I was not expecting this live. I know. I hear you. So here's the deal, Scott. People might be still oblivious on the beaches in Hawaii. The tsunami's 4 hours away. So, they may be not knowing about it. And Becky agrees right there. 8.7 is huge. It's the 8th largest earthquake ever recorded in the world's history. It ties with the 8th largest. And if we look, that was one in Alaska. So we can come back to here. Showed this earlier. But we had a 8.7, and that generated a tsunami 35 feet high. So there had to be quite a rupture. And if you're just joining on, did you know that we can actually feel this here? We can't, but the sensors can. At the bring that up here. Let's see if I got it. So here's the Arkansas Seismic Network. We can look at other ones too. Look at Lake Charles. Look at that. That is no accident. That is the earth that's reverberating from this type of energy that's been released, which is pretty tremendous, to be honest with you. We'll look at Cane Creek. Look at, they're all showing it. And notice how everything was pretty quiet, and then all of a sudden it's kind of shaking. We won't feel that because it's too sensitive. That's why there's the strong motion here. If you get the strong motion, you won't see it nearly as much, but you see like little waves here. So that's where it kind of started. Go back here, look at another temporary station. They're all showing the same thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. When we look at this again, you can see the time here. This is when it hit. It was about 6:36. Because here's how you read this. So 18Z is 6 o'clock in the evening, Central Daylight Time, and then you can see the UTC. So this is 2300 UTC. 2315 is 6:15. And then you got 6:16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, excuse me. Right here is 23:30. So that's 6:30. Okay, and then you come down here, you go 6:30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6:36, and a few seconds later. So if we go to a location that's a little bit farther away, such as Lake Charles, you'll see it's just going to be slightly later. See that? Almost like 6:38 or 6:36 in like 20 seconds. Because these are second ticks and these are the minute ticks. Pretty wild, man. Ozark Folk Center, look at that. Just going nuts. Yellville, I mean, they're all showing the same thing. You get that much of an earthquake, you're generating seismic waves across the country, which, sometimes that can cause other earthquakes to happen. The largest earthquake ever was a 9.5, and it was in 1960, and it happened in Chile. And let me bring that up right here. So, Great Chilean earthquake, largest earthquake, 2 million homeless, 1,655 people were killed. Whenever you get up to this level, it's national news. That's why I wanted to do this live. This isn't your average earthquake. This is a beast. This is a big one. And the fact that tsunami warnings are still in effect, well, they were. I don't know if it's still a warning, but then it's an advisory. Yeah, this site's pretty bad. Sorry, Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. You might need to upgrade that website though. Seriously. It's been the same ever since, and it's not easy to read. Because you click on this is the newest thing, 01. So this is 8:07 our time. I'm reading it. I think we already saw that. There's nothing new. Yeah, about midnight. Oh, that's cool. Thank you, Catherine. Love that comment. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a seismologist. So the earthquake was an 8.7. 8.7, which is a magnitude pretty strong. Mercalli scale, it's probably going to be close to a 9, maybe a 10 on the Mercalli scale. So pretty crazy. When would the water be visibly receding in Hawaii? Like 10 p.m. So that typically happens, Ava. That's a great question. From what I've seen, it's usually like maybe minutes before it arrives. So maybe like a half hour sometimes. I don't think it's any more than that. I know it is hot. That's another thing too. I will say this, that I could kind of do a 2-for-1 if I'm talking about this earthquake. So we do have a cool down coming. The weather will be getting a lot better. We're going to be right around mid 80s, mid to upper 80s with rain and storm chances Thursday and Friday. Yeah, no kidding. When it measures in Arkansas, it's nasty. Now there are a lot of earthquakes. Let's take a look at that here. I'll bring that up on weather too. So here's all the ones. Look at all the aftershocks that are just popping up left and right. We still have that 8.7. I think this is an old graphic here and it's not animating. So let me go in there and get to the newest. There you go. Look at them all. So let's see what we got. Got an earthquake of 6, 5.6, 5.8. These are all aftershocks. 5.7, 6.3, 8.0. I think that was a 8.0 that was upgraded to an 8.7. There's the 8.7. There's so many earthquakes on top of each other but that's the granddaddy of them all right there. Number of seismic stations. So the way this works typically is the U.S. Geological Survey. What they do is they basically release a preliminary magnitude for the earthquake. Then they review some more data, review some more information, and then they change it. Yeah, it's a lot of crazy videos. I wish I could show them. See if I can bring it up. Some of the shaking has been tremendous. I mean, 8.7. That is just nasty. Now they got, let's see here. I'm looking at some sites. Yeah, you got to see this. I'll show you this real quick. You got to see this. This is pretty crazy. This is a view of the shaking here. Watch this. This is from social media. This is just do that again. This is all over social. That shows you. I don't know if it's ultimate. Golly, that is crazy. So that, just to let you know, in case you're wondering, is some of the stuff here. This is this. That's the problem with those waves. They're super strong. Wow. And there's going to be modeling of the tsunami wave and all that stuff. I don't have that capability. Whew. Yeah, that's going to cause some issues, man. There's going to be a lot of damage. There's going to be national news on that. There's going to be international news. That's a big one. Now, does that cause rifts and other fault lines? Not sure. Earth null school super cool wind wave map. Huh. So I've done that before, but I didn't know if that's. Yeah, this is just like the windy TY thing. I'll take a look here. This doesn't really show tsunamis, does it? Not really. I'll show you what he's looking at. It's this right here. This is ocean waves and stuff like that, according to the currents. But that tsunami is spreading out over here. It's coming from this area. But that's not modeling of the tsunami wave. You can see the way those currents are happening and stuff like that. That's not. And then that shows the air pressure and the low pressure. That's a result of that. But and then there's a hurricane, by the way. That's south of Hawaii. Major hurricane too. Major hurricane earlier. But it is cool. It is showing you the streamlines and stuff like that. But I don't believe that shows you the tsunami. That's a model forecast too. It's from the GFS. So that's click to Earth and change it. Okay. Let's see here. Earth. Whoops. My bad. Okay. I changed it. So where are you seeing Cobb? Tell me where you're seeing the tsunami. Because it doesn't, all that shows you is waves. It could be upgraded even further, but typically they usually do it just a couple of magnitude. But yeah, maybe it does go higher. We'll see. Wow, that's wild. 2010, my house was split in half by the Easter earthquake. This will just take off your stuff, and then you can do ocean and you can do waves, but it's not going to. I don't think it shows you the tsunami. I don't think there's a way to model that instantly. So no heights showing path. Nah, I don't think so. I don't believe so, but you could be right. I don't know. No, like I said, I've been doing a lot of this, and so I know there's been a lot of stuff on X. It's well, I see Fox News is on it now. They got 2 seconds. They got tsunami, potential wave arrival. They're telling you when it arrives, which will be in the morning hours for us. It'll be right around uh, San Francisco around 12:40 a.m. 11:40 for the Pacific Northwest and 105. So a little after midnight for us. Yeah, I bet you there's a lot of stuff to see. Crazy video, whatever you want. But that was a big time earthquake, a great earthquake. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. So you said it was upgraded to an 8.8. Let's confirm that. If that changed, yep. We're just saying that. Upgraded to an 8.8. Let's see. Yep, 8.8. Right. Okay. Bring that up. There it is. So now it ranks as tied for the seventh largest earthquake. 6 or 7. Wow. So 8.8, I think that's 10 times greater. 10 times greater. Look at that. Look at the motion. Seismic energy hit us. This is Upstate Park, West Arkansas. Yeah, Hawaii is under. They don't have an update. But that also. Okay, well, guess what? I got to update this lower too. Like I said, the preliminary release information, and now it's been updated. So there it is. Yeah, there's been some documentaries. I watched that tsunami racing this time. You haven't seen that. It was about the Sumatra guys. Sorry, the audio's bad. Might be because I'm talking. We're still working on that. So it is absolutely certain the tsunami is coming. And impact on Hawaii or not. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the internet, something like that. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check. But you kind of heard everything. So again, to summarize, 8.8 earthquake, nearly a 9.0, was 8.7, and it was 8.0, and just pretty nasty storm for sure. Pretty nasty earthquake. Top 7, highs of 7, 6. I didn't change audio. I might be like, okay. Oh, I see. I know what it is. I see what it is. There's audio that's occurring. I think that's what it is. How's that? Is that better? There's no bad audio now. I think I fixed it. There was a video that was playing in the background, and then that video was screwing it up. So that's why I was all muffled and knuffled, if you will. But let's just do a little summary here. Yeah, so sorry about that. That's the reason the audio was terrible. Is there was a video that was playing in the background on X, and didn't know that was on there. So 8.0 earthquake initially at about 6:24 our time. Then it got upgraded to an 8.7, and then it got upgraded to an 8.8. So now it's an 8.8 by the U.S. Geological Survey. This created a tsunami already. The tsunami has hit Russia, which happens pretty quickly because it's close to the epicenter. And then you've got a tsunami that's headed towards Hawaii. It's going to be hitting close to midnight our time, which is 7 p.m., a little after 7 their time. So we'll be watching this closely after midnight. It'll be interesting to watch. I'll be watching all the stuff. If the audio is still messed up, let me know. I think it's better though. Also, the voice is bad too. And then the lights just went out. And then we got tsunami watch for the west coast of the United States. But we do know that this was a thrust, a subduction zone. Subduction zone is where you have the plates that are going underneath each other and then they pop like that. And when it pops, that lifts the ground, the sea floor, and then that sea floor basically gets compressed to a surface wave. And man, you get some wicked energy. And that's why a tsunami wave is different than a flood wave. Because like if you have like a big huge wave, it hits and then let's try the National Data Buoy Center. Let's look at that here. The only problem is here, you got to remember that out in the open ocean, you won't see much of a water rise. The National Data Buoy Center. So let's look here. So it hasn't quite. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is how you can tell it's a tsunami. So that makes sense because the water. So remember, it's not the wave. This is a common misnomer of tsunamis, but the wave isn't super high when it's in the open ocean. But you can see at the very end, look at how it does that little intricate up and down here. Let me zoom in on that so you can see that a little bit better. So see this going up and down, up and down. That represents right there pretty rapid water rise and fall. And there you see it, instead of it being kind of gradual with tides, that is not gradual and that is not common. So that shows you right there that you have a tsunami that's brewing. Yep. That's how you can tell. And come over here. Let's see if that hit. Yeah. But this is the big, so the epicenter was located right about there. We click on that one, you can really see that going up and down and up and down. Think about that way when you throw pebbles into a pond, you get the ripples. Yeah, pretty wild. And then so what happens is because the ocean seafloor, think about how much water there is that has to be displaced. So if you're in your bathtub or you're in a pool and you take your hands and you go like this and push them up, you'll see the water go up and then it comes down and goes up and it spreads out. So all of that water from the very bottom of the ocean floor, that energy has to be translated along the ground. And that's why you have multiple waves that come through. And they're not short waves like if you're on the beach and you hear whoosh, whoosh, the wavelength's pretty short. These wavelengths are pretty long. So what we mean by that is you have a crest and a trough and a crest in the wave, which can be minutes apart, if not, several tens of minutes apart. So that's what's happening. Hey guys, I gotta run because we're getting ready for the 9 o'clock. Also gotta grab a quick bite to eat. But the flashing buoys, I honestly don't know what they mean, to be honest with you. I was looking at that and it does. Tsunami station in event mode. So that's what it does mean. You're right. I just saw that. Am I on that? Look, that's pretty wild. The flashing buoys, you can see it right here. It says Tsunami station in event mode. So they can flip them and turn them on, I guess. So tsunami's probably right about here, I'd say. Halfway. Because it'll be hitting in about 4 hours. Less than 4 hours now. About midnight our time. I got to make some graphics, kind of talk about that. Let's go back to, one more time, the Tsunami Warning Center graphic. And now they got advisories instead of a watch. So this is getting pretty serious here. Hawaii definitely needs the watch, though, for sure. Hawaii could be real interesting. So let's go back here. Let's just go back to the very beginning of the page, because you get warning, and then you get an advisory, and then you got warnings, and then you got advisories. But if we zoom in on the United States, you can notice that they've now got a tsunami advisory. The breakpoint marker. I have no idea what the breakpoint marker is. Okay, here's some new information. They still don't have it upgraded to an 8.8 either. The U.S. seismic zone, the USGS. Okay, here we go. West Coast. Let's try this. Okay, this is a new one here. So this is 827. I'll read this real quick. Oregon tsunami advisory. So this is what they issued. Okay, and then this is what they're expecting for height. Okay, so there's 1 to 2 feet for California. Crescent City, look at that, 3 to 6 feet. It's pretty high. Pretty wild. This will be an earthquake to study for years to come. All right, guys. Well, I got to run. Take care. Man, just 2000. Yeah, the Haiti earthquake and the Sumatra earthquake, all those, and the Japan earthquake, all those are bad. This is definitely up there, and in fact, even stronger than that. Not stronger than the 2004, but an 8.8. That's pretty substantial. So take care, guys. I just wanted to hop on there. Thanks for watching this live stream. Again, if I provided misinformation, I didn't try to. I'm not a seismologist. I am a meteorologist. I know a lot about earthquakes, but not like a expert. But it would be fun to get an expert on. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow, and we can get someone on there. So yeah, several feet of water rise likely on the West Coast now with a tsunami advisory. Take care, guys. God bless, and be praying for those that were impacted by this earthquake. Bye.